Joining me now is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Great to have you. I don't know if you could see yourself there, but you could almost hear your smile as you were making it. Look, you and the president haven't always seen eye to eye on health care or tax reform. I want to start with health care now. You called in your comments there in the Roosevelt Room that this was a bold move by the president. Why do you say that?
Well, you know, it's been available for previous presidents, Republican and Democrat, to legalize this. The law in the 1970s is actually loosely worded and doesn't appear to prevent people joining together in associations across state lines to get their insurance and to use that leverage to get cheaper prices. And no administration has been bold enough in the past to actually look at the original law and say, hey guys, I don't think they meant to stop us from allowing association plans. So this is a big deal. Under Obamacare, 28 million people do not have insurance as we speak, and about 10 or 11 million have insurance that's too expensive for them to use with like $6,000 deductibles. The plan that we put in place today is going to allow inexpensive insurance, and it's going to allow great purchasing power, and it's going to have the same protections that people want, the kind of protection that people get who work for big corporations.
I don't know if you caught it, but former White House press secretary under George W. Bush, Ari Fleischer, was on with me moments ago. He has a small business now, and he was telling us about the cost of offsetting 75% of their health insurance for his employees as part of his employment for them. And he said, look, I'm looking forward to being able to pool together with other small businesses and buy something at a low cost. He said it's really critical. At one point today, Senator, the president said we're on our way to repeal and replace. The place where you broke with Republicans on health care was that you felt that it was Obamacare light, that it really wasn't repeal. Are you bolstered a little bit today? Are you excited about moving the line?
Absolutely, very excited. And I've always felt like replacement was legalizing stuff, letting the free market work, letting people join together as consumers to have better purchasing power in like a buying group across state lines. That's what I always meant by replacement. Some Republicans said, well, replacement means keeping a lot of Obamacare alive. I never was for that and never told anybody I was. So I think there is still hope. What I think happens with this is that millions of people, we think as many as 50 million people, could be eligible to get their insurance across state lines through health associations. If that happens, it'll completely transform the marketplace. Most of the people who hate Obamacare and frankly who hated the previous system are small businesses or individuals that have to buy their insurance. We're going to let them band together now, and there is great potential for less expensive policies. And some on the left say, oh, they're going to get crummy policies. Do you know who has these policies right now? Most major corporations in our country have large group ERISA plans. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about letting individuals get large group plans like big corporations get. That's what most people want for their insurance.
Well, and they're the engine of the economy. Last I read, they were north of 66% in terms of creating jobs, those small businesses. So does this mean, Senator Paul, I'm going to put you on the spot, that you're now on the road if this issue should come back, repeal and replace Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act? Are you on the road to being closer to supporting some sort of legislation that could move us farther away from Obamacare?
Well, I always have been. I've been always for real repeal, and I voted every time real repeal came up. But when they started replacing it and putting up fake repeal that kept Obamacare in place, I wasn't for that. But the last bill that came forward that I wasn't in favor of, I was in favor of 4 or 5 things. Expanding health savings accounts, that's freeing up the free market, allowing people to save more easily. Giving governors waivers, I was for that. Having some caps on entitlements so we don't spend ourselves into oblivion. Several of the things I was for. The only thing I wasn't for was keeping the Obamacare spending and then just block granting it and calling it a day. I still want to repeal the Obamacare spending. I also want to repeal the Obamacare taxes. So I think as Obamacare gets worse over the next 6 months or a year until this is revisited, I think maybe you're going to see some new Republicans. There's Republican challengers all over the country. You're going to see some new Republicans, but you're also going to see maybe the Republicans that are in Washington are going to go home and feel like, you know what, people are upset with me because I didn't keep my word. I kept my word. I've always voted for repeal and always will.
I want to get to taxes now. Just quickly, though, yes or no, are you comfortable with the president using his executive pen to get you where you are today?
You know, I think that if the president is like me, wants to cut everybody's taxes, I'm all in.
All right.
I'm still a little concerned that the package we have doesn't cut the middle class taxes, and so I'm still working with the White House, willing to work with them, and I predict in the end we're going to get this bill fixed where I can be all in on it.
All right, I think we jumped to tax care, but I was still talking about health care. Are you comfortable with the president using his executive pen today as he did? You know, Barack Obama did it north of 45 times to tweak or delay portions of the Affordable Care Act.
The difference is President Obama created programs by executive action. This is just legalizing a freedom that's in the First Amendment. You have the right of assembly in the First Amendment. You have the right to form an association. The NAACP versus Alabama back in the 50s ensured that right. So we do have the right to organize. The government was preventing it. So anytime the president by executive action can undo a government mandate, by all means, I'm for it.
All right, now let's jump back to taxes if we can. I understand you're undecided on both the budget and the tax plan that the president has put forth. You feel like it doesn't do enough for the middle class. Talk to me.
Well, the middle rate's 25%. We're going to lower the upper rate from 39 to 35. We're going to expand the standard deduction at the bottom for those who are poor. I'm concerned about those in the middle. Are we going to raise their taxes? Right now, the plan keeps the middle rate the same, 25, but gets rid of two big deductions: the ability to deduct your state income tax and the ability to have personal exemptions. I'm fine if you want to get rid of those, but you got to do something to make sure their taxes don't go up for those in the middle. I've talked to the White House. I think the president, he says he agrees completely with me. So he's told his people he doesn't want to raise taxes on the middle class. As long as the final product does not raise taxes on the middle class, I'm all in, and I'm an enthusiastic supporter, but I'm going to read the details and I'm going to try to make sure that the middle class gets a tax cut also.
By the way, people love the fact that you actually read the bills.
Somebody's got to.
Some people on Capitol Hill don't. So I want to, though, dig in with this, because now I kind of understand where there might be a disconnect. Some critics are thinking that if you are talking about not being able to deduct your state income tax and your local taxes from your federal income, and if you're not, or income tax reform, and you can't take off your real estate, mortgage interest, and all of that, that only benefits the wealthy. But what you're saying is no, that also hits the people in the middle.
If you make between $75,000 and $300,000, I call that middle and some upper middle class. They're not the extraordinary wealthy, but they're people doing pretty well. Those people, a significant chunk, unless we're careful, if you take away two big deductions and keep the rate at 25, there is a chance. So looking at the details, and I was at the White House today, they want to work to make sure it doesn't happen. I take them at their word, and I'm glad I brought this up because I think there was a danger that some of the powers that be weren't concerned with the first and primary principle of conservatives, and that's that we don't raise somebody's taxes.
Well, that is so interesting. You're the first person to give me even a taste of an income level, and I know that those things have not been set yet, but at least that speaks to the issue of where we're talking about with particularly these deductions, because I know they're a sticking point, not just with you, but with other Republicans too. Senator Rand Paul, we appreciate your time. We know that you came out of that event with the president. You've got a full afternoon. You made time for us here on Overtime. Thank you.